And as California grapples with fires, rain, and mud, retired Police Lieutenant Randy Sutton says that the Golden State needs a new strategy to support first responders and keep residents safe. Here's One America's McKenna Blackman.
Wildfires continue to dot California's landscape outside Los Angeles and San Diego as residents contend with mudslides, down power lines, and other hazards following the devastating Palisades and Ian fires. As cleanup from the fires begin and criticism from Golden State leadership mounts, 30-year law enforcement veteran Randy Sutton is urging Californians' leadership to have a new plan moving forward. Randy joins us now to discuss the fires and their aftermath. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So President Trump made a visit to the site of the California fires as one of his first acts in office, among many that he's done in this first week he's been inaugurated. Here's a quick clip from Friday's Fire Department Roundtable.
We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
You've got it. I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be zero delay. And as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
And the resources.
I am more worried because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly, and they were devastated. They want to start now. They want to start removing things. They're not allowed to do it now. And you mentioned hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste. What's hazardous waste? I mean, you're going to have to define that. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
Nope.
Your thoughts on this, and do you think Newsom and state Democrats will tone down rhetoric against President Trump as a result of this situation?
We can only hope that they'll do that, but I have my doubts. They're playing a great deal of politics when it comes down to the lives of these homeowners who've been devastated by the fires. And, when we're talking about, a situation that's probably the first time in history where we have seen devastation on a scale like this. Now, law enforcement plays a pivotal role here, but law enforcement also has its limitations. It's limited by the number of personnel, it's limited by the rules of engagement, if you will. Remember this, that law enforcement, LAPD, the LA County Sheriffs, and California Highway Patrol must all work together. They have a mutual aid plan, which is absolutely essential because they're facing a situation that they've never had before. And that one of the things about this is leadership plays a pivotal role here because the law enforcement community is already struggling. They were struggling before this when it comes down to manpower, when it comes down to having enough personnel just to do the law enforcement job. Now you have this devastation. And what is the role of the law enforcement officer? That has to be defined by the leadership, not only of the police agencies, of law enforcement agencies, but also of the state and the county. So there's a lot of hands in the kitchen here, and this can be a real mess because the officers. Remember, law enforcement is a paramilitary based organizations, right? They have a rank structure. They follow their orders. But what are the orders going to be? And this is going to be a major part of the issues moving forward with what the law enforcement community is told to do, is what they are allowed to do. And then there are so many other nuances here. There's fatigue is already playing a major role here. Fatigue is a killer for law enforcement. And when you have people working double shifts, they don't get any days off. Well, that causes fatigue. That causes many other issues on the mental health of these officers, which is going to be another issue that is going to be coming down the pike here. There's going to be a huge mental health issue. And this is something that, I'm very familiar with as the leader of the Wounded Blue. This is going to be a crisis.
Definitely. And, this is such a wide sweeping tragedy, from the hazards and the wreckage to looters to frustrated people trying to go back to their homes. I believe it was like a week or so ago, I was talking to gubernatorial candidate Leo Zaki, and he was showing me the aftermath of what had happened. And it looked like something out of The Walking Dead to me. So is there a manual or something or some type of training for police to know how to handle these type of situations?
That is the great question. Police officers are trained in many aspects of crowd control, of what to do in emergency situations. But this is new ground. They've never had a situation like this. And this is where leadership is going to play that critical role. What is the role of the officers that are on the ground there? Is it law enforcement? Absolutely. Is it arresting looters? 100%. What is the other part? When you talk about all of these people that have lost their homes, that want to get to their homes, and who is tasked with saying no, you can't go? It's the law enforcement function, and this causes more issues because the law enforcement wants to be the protector. That is their role. Right now, when you talk about what does a law enforcement officer do every single day? It's the law enforcement function is actually much less than people realize. The officers are doing, working with domestic violence victims. They're working with all types of social issues that really aren't law enforcement, quote unquote, related. So now you have this devastated community. You have people that have lost everything, who are trying to rebuild their lives, and who's telling them, "I'm sorry, but you can't go and look for the property in your own home." And that's why the leadership has to step up here and come up with common sense realities for giving the law enforcement orders the law enforcement the orders and the nuance of what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, in order to create at least a little more palatable methodology of moving forward for the law enforcement officers working with their communities.
Right. And being that police are already underfunded and understaffed, how are officers coping with this situation? Are there people you've been talking to, and what are their stories regarding all of this?
Oh, I've heard some incredible stories. I mean, one of the things that hasn't been really focused on is the number of people who have died as a result of this. Not only people, but pets, but the animals here. Well, who is it that is finding these bodies and having to deal with giving notifications about deaths? It's the street cop, and it's devastating for them to see this carnage, and this is going to be a big problem going forward here with helping them cope with the tragedy that they are seeing and dealing with. This has always been an issue with law enforcement, dealing with tragedy, dealing with terrible emotions on a continual basis over years. Well, now this is coming down at a time when this is uncharted territory. So this is going to be a major challenge for not only the law enforcement community, but those who work with law enforcement in order to help them cope with the issues that they cope with.
Definitely. And your organization, Wounded Blue, supports law enforcement hurt in the line of duty. So can you tell us a little bit about that, and how are you guys helping officers out here in California?
Sure thing. So my organization is a peer support organization. It's made up of all police officers who have been injured in the line of duty, disabled in the line of duty, dealt with severe post-traumatic stress. And we have already fielded a number of calls from officers who are struggling. They need people to talk to. And I'll say this, that LAPD and LA sheriffs, they have a great peer support system, but they can't handle it all, not with the scope of what's going on. So we have offered to send teams to the affected area, and we fully expect that we're going to be fielding some teams into the LA area very shortly.
Awesome. And is there any way our viewers can get involved into this?
Absolutely. TheWoundedBlue.org is our website. That's TheWoundedBlue.org. And see who we are, see what we do, donate what you can. And for any officer who is struggling, whether you're in Los Angeles, we are a national organization. So if you're struggling and you're in LA, listen, reach out to us. It is completely confidential. We have lots of resources to help. And if you're a law enforcement officer anywhere in this country, you know that we're here, and we live by our motto of never forgotten, never alone. We are the Wounded Blue.
Awesome. Well, Randy Sutton, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.